If you're just seeing this video, then you are lucky. This story will leave you thinking long after it ends because it reveals what can hide behind moments of joy and celebration. In a quiet Igbo village where red earth kissed bare foot and palm trees whispered secrets in the wind, there lived a young woman called Lotachi. Her name meant remember God, and truly her life had always been wrapped in hope, patience, and silent prayers. Lotachi was heavily pregnant when the drums of her traditional wedding echoed across the land. It was a day of color and joy. Women danced, men beat the ogene, and the air smelled of roasted meat and fresh palm wine. Her husband, Odili, stood tall beside her, proud and gentle, his eyes filled with promises of forever. As Lotachi danced slowly in the middle of the compound, one hand resting on her swollen belly, something unusual happened. From nowhere, an old woman appeared. No one noticed when she entered. No one remembered inviting her. She was bent, wrapped in faded clothes, her eyes deep like a river that had seen too many seasons. She smiled without warmth and stepped into the dance circle. Before anyone could stop her, she danced with Lotachi, humming a tune no one recognized. Then, gently, too gently, she rubbed Lotachi's belly. A sudden cold passed through Lotachi's body. Her heart skipped. Her baby stopped kicking for a brief moment. The old woman leaned close and whispered words that were drowned by the drums. Then, just like smoke, she turned and walked away. No farewell, no trace. Lotachi felt uneasy, but it was her wedding day. She forced a smile. "It's nothing," she said. Perhaps she was just an excited woman. She laughed, danced again, and let the moment pass. That night, Lotachi followed Odili to his home as his wife. Their love was simple and sincere. Odili treated her with care, speaking softly to her belly, calling their unborn child my strength. The days passed peacefully until her due date arrived. Lotachi was rushed to the hospital, her face soaked in sweat, her lips moving in prayer. Odili held her hand lightly, whispering encouragement. After a long while, the doctor came out. His face was heavy. "Madam," he said carefully, the baby has been dead for 2 days." The words stopped. Lotachi screamed. "No! That is a lie," she cried. "My baby kicked this morning. I felt it. I felt my child." Tears flew like rain as she clutched her chest. Odili fell to his knees. They prayed, they begged, they called on God, on ancestors, on mercy. But nothing changed. Lotachi returned home empty-handed and heartbroken. Months later, they tried again and again, but each pregnancy ended up in mysterious miscarriages. Doctors examined her and shook their heads. "She is perfectly fine." Yet, year after year passed. 6 years of marriage, no child. Still, Odili never left her side. Their parents stood by them. Love remained, but sorrow grew deeper, like a wound that had refused to heal. Then, one day, after many years, they returned to church. And that was when a door to the unseen world slowly began to open. The church bell rang softly that Sunday morning. Its sound carrying memories Lotachi thought she had buried. As she stepped inside with Odili, her heart felt heavy, like a woman returning to a place she once cried and left in silence. They sat quickly at the back. When the pastor preached, his words pierced like arrows. "There are battles that do not start in childhood," he said. "Some begin on days meant for joy." Lotachi's body trembled. After the service, she gathered courage and met the pastor. Her voice shook as she told him everything: the wedding day, the strange old woman, the dead child, the miscarriages, the 6 long years of waiting. The pastor closed his eyes. "This is not a medical problem," he said. "This is a spiritual attack tied to the moment of celebration. But do not fear. What God cannot restore does not exist." He asked them to fast and pray. 7 days turned into 14, 14 days into 21. Lotachi and Odili prayed until their throats burned. They cried until their tears dried. Some nights, Lotachi would wake suddenly, holding her stomach, feeling an emptiness that felt alive. One night, during prayer, Lotachi fell asleep on the floor. And then she saw it. In her dream, she stood again at her wedding. The drums played, the women danced, and then the old woman appeared. This time, Lotachi saw her clearly. Her eyes were dark. Her smile was crooked. As she rubbed Lotachi's belly, something black and heavy entered her womb like a smoke. The baby inside her screamed, but no sound came out. Lotachi woke up crying, screaming. The pastor nodded when she told him. "What entered must come out," he said, "but the battle will test your faith." They prayed harder. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. Nothing changed. No pregnancy, no sign, no joy. Lotachi grew tired. One evening, after another long prayer section, she broke down. "God, are you angry with me?" she cried. "Why give me hope just to break me again?" Odili held her, his own tears soaking her wrapper. For the first time in years, anger rose in their hearts, not at each other, but at heaven. They stopped praying with strength. Hope grew weak. Then, one ordinary market day changed everything. Lotachi went to the market to buy vegetables. As she bargained for tomatoes, she felt a presence beside her. An old woman stood there. Her voice was soft. "My daughter," the woman said, "you are blessed." Lotachi froze. Something about the voice stirred fear. Yet, peace followed immediately. She forced a smile and replied, "I receive it." The old woman nodded and disappeared into the crowd. Lotachi hurried home, her heart pounding. As she entered her compound, a sudden wave of nausea hit her. She dropped her basket and ran to the bedroom. She vomited. What came out was greenish and brownish, thick and strange. Fear gripped her. She fell on her knees, shaking. "God, if this is you, take control," she whispered. She prayed until night fell. 2 months later, Lotachi became terribly sick. Odili rushed her to the hospital, expecting the worst, perhaps fever, perhaps exhaustion. But when the doctor returned, his face was glowing. "Madam," he said, smiling, "you are 2 weeks pregnant." Lotachi laughed and cried at the same time. "And not just that," the doctor continued, "you are carrying a baby boy and a baby girl." The room exploded in joy. Odili danced. Lotachi shouted praises. For the first time in 6 years, hope felt real. Still, they kept the news to themselves. They waited, they watched, they prayed silently, because sometimes miracles grow quietly before they make noise. Joy came quietly into Lotachi's home, walking on the soft feet of caution. Though the doctor's words still echoed in their ears, Lotachi and Odili told no one. Not their parents, not their closest friends, only God knew. After 6 years of disappointment, hope felt like fragile glass, beautiful but easily broken. Every morning, Lotachi woke up and placed her hands on her belly. Stay, she whispered. Please, stay. At first, the pregnancy was peaceful. No strange pains, no bad dreams, just gentle movements that reminded her she was not empty anymore. But fear never truly left her. Sometimes at night, she would dream of her wedding day again. The drums, the dancing, the old woman's shadow moving through the crowd. She would wake up sweating, clutching Odili's arm. Odili never complained. He fasted secretly for his wife. He prayed alone in the early hours of the morning, kneeling beside their bed. God, he said, you gave us this joy. Please do not take it away. Months passed. At the fourth month, the babies kicked strongly. The doctor confirmed everything was normal. Lotachi smiled more. She laughed more. Slowly, her fear loosened its grip. By the seventh month, her belly was round and heavy with life. She could no longer hide it. That was when they told their parents. Their families wept openly. Songs of thanksgiving filled the house. Yet, deep inside, Lotachi remained watchful. She avoided crowded places. She stopped attending late gatherings. She prayed before eating, before sleeping, before stepping outside. One evening, while resting under the mango tree, a thought crossed her mind. What if this old woman returns? Fear tried to rise again, but Lotachi stood firm. No, she said loud. This time, God is with me. As her due date drew closer, the babies moved like little drums inside her, strong and full of life. The doctor assured them repeatedly, these babies are fighters. Labor came on a quiet night, under a sky filled with stars. Lotachi cried out, not in fear, but in strength. Odili held her hand, his voice steady, his faith unbroken. After long hours, the sound they had waited 6 years to hear filled the room. A baby cried, then another. The nurse smiled. Congratulations, she said, you have twins. Tears streamed down Lotachi's face as the babies were placed in her arms. A boy and a girl, warm and alive. Odili fell to his knees, praising God openly. They named the boy Chidiebube, God is glorious. Then the girl, Chidemma, God is good. The long night of sorrow had finally broken, but the story was not complete yet. Because in the village, every miracle carries a message, and every victory deserves a lesson. When the sun rose the morning after Lotachi gave birth, it felt different, gentler, warmer, as if the sky itself was celebrating. News of the twins spread through the village like wildfire. Women came with gifts, elders came with prayers and songs of thanksgiving. Lotachi watched her children sleep, Chidiebube and Chidinma, laying side by side like a promise finally kept. Her heart overflowed with gratitude, but also with understanding. She had learned that not every battle announces itself with noise. Some begin quietly, on days meant for joy. Some hide behind smiles and harmless touches. A few weeks later, Lotachi and Odili returned to the church, not in desperation this time, but in thanksgiving. Standing before the altar, Lotachi shared her testimony. Her voice was calm, strong, and full of light. I waited 6 years, she said. I cried. I doubted. I almost gave up. But God did not forget me. The pastor nodded and replied, delay is not denial. Sometimes God allows the night so the morning will be unquestionable. From that day on, Lotachi became a woman of wisdom in the village. She warned gently, not in fear, but in truth, to be careful with one's joy, to pray over moments of celebration, and to trust God even when prayers seem far away. The strange old woman was never seen again. Whether she was a test, a trial, or a shadow from the unseen world, no one knew. But one thing was certain, her hold was broken. Years later, as Chidiebube and Chidinma ran through the compound, laughing under the same mango tree where Lotachi once cried, she smiled softly. She placed her hands on her chest and whispered, "Thank you, God." Because her story was no longer one of loss. It was a story of faith tested, hope delayed, and victory restored. And in that village, whenever a woman waited in tears for the fruit of her womb, elders would say, "Remember Lotachi, for after the longest night, joy will surely come in the morning."
Please do not forget to like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comment section.